Today. Now, we're going to talk about love scenes or sex scenes, features in film, and how they've changed a lot over the past 5 years, according to Oscar-winning actress Emma Stone.
The Poor Things star says the role of the intimacy coordinator has become vital to protecting cast and crew on set. Well, the woman Emma Stone's credits personally is Elle McAlpine, an intimacy coordinator who worked with her on the Oscar-nominated movie Poor Things. And she joins us now. Elle, thank you so much. I think most of us have got a bit of an idea, but explain to us your role as an intimacy coordinator. What does it involve?
So essentially the role of the intimacy coordinator is to liaise clearly and effectively with production initially. So we speak to all heads of department. The obvious heads are your producers, your directors, and then we will communicate with costume, makeup, SFX, VFX if necessary, props if necessary, just to ensure that all the intimate scenes that are in the film or the TV series are handled with best practice. Then the second part of the job is to advocate for the actors, to ensure that their boundaries are heard, that their consent levels are communicated to those that need to be communicated with. We help with nudity riders and simulated sex riders. And then the third part of it is to sort of help the director create the vision that they want. So help with choreography, help with realism of the scene, help to ensure that it actually looks the way that we want it to look.
What is the problem that you are solving, Elle?
Did you say what was the problem that we're solving?
Yeah.
I think there's not necessarily a problem across all productions. I think we are there to facilitate a space where people can talk about sex. And also, I mean, I guess the inevitable problem would be the power dynamic that is there perpetually when you've got directors and actors. Your actors are often in a position where they are eager to do the right thing or to please or to do what the director wants. And so having a third party there just ensures that there's someone else that they can talk to if something feels slightly amiss, or if the sex scene isn't quite in keeping with their character or the storytelling. So I think it facilitates a space where we can talk about sex, which doesn't mean to say that directors don't facilitate those spaces. I just think with the inevitable kind of power dynamic, it makes it a more, I guess, a more neutralized space.
Presumably also you're making it less awkward.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I think there's always a sort of awkwardness around talking about sex. We are, as intimacy coordinators, we are incredibly well versed in talking about all sorts of things regarding sex. So positions, rhythms. A lot of intimacy coordinators are kind of movement trained, so we know, and anatomy trained, so we understand the body and how it moves in space. And so, yeah, we can talk about it in a way that feels professional, that doesn't feel kind of titillating or grotesque, or kind of, I guess, colloquial. We use very professional language, which, I guess sort of dilutes that awkwardness.
How do you get good at this? What qualifies you to do the role? Do you spend your time watching people have a lot of sex?
That's a good question, Nick. I think being good at this job requires a certain human being, in the sense that you need to be able to read a room quite clearly and quite quickly. You need to be able to build relationships very quickly. You need to, we're asking people to trust us, and sometimes they don't even know who we are. You need to kind of have, I think, an energy that is not overbearing, that is that it creates safety. I don't know how you learn that. I think some people really have it, some people don't. Obviously, in terms of choreography, yes, it's not always about watching sex scenes. It's about watching kind of bodies in space and how they come together, and also having an interest in sex and why we think sex scenes are important, or the sex scenes that we want to help coordinate. There's got to be a reason as to why we're doing it ultimately as well.
Some actors have been a little bit reluctant to say, you use the word kind of overbearing because you don't want to be like that, but to say it disrupts kind of their acting process and it can feel like interference. Have you come across some of that?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of my career, I didn't quite have the knack, and I can see how some actors can feel that, especially on a TV set and even on a film set. Time is very precious. and we need to do things quickly. And I think sometimes people worry that the role of an intimacy coordinator will slow things down. But if a lot of our work is done in prep, so we talk a lot with actors and directors beforehand just to ensure that when we get to set, things happen very smoothly and very quickly. I also think director and actors have an incredible relationship, and you don't most of the time, and you don't want to impose or impinge on that. And so it's essential that you kind of complement. And that again takes a lot of sort of self-awareness and understanding what skills are required in the space. But also I think it's sometimes people to people. You're not going to get on with everybody. You're not going to get on with every single intimacy coordinator that you work with. Hopefully the majority of them you will. But it's a bit like a stunt coordinator. You know, we wouldn't use a stunt coordinator now to do a fight scene. Hopefully we'll get to a position in the industry where you wouldn't look or conceive to do a sex scene without an intimacy coordinator there. And also, my practice changes with each director and actor that I work with. So I will offer things, and if that doesn't sit well with those people, then I won't, we won't do it. So it's always a conversation. It's always a dialogue about the skills that I have, and this is what I can help you with. Which ones of those would you like? What would be beneficial for you as an actor, as a director? So, it's not set in stone. The practice is not set in stone.
It's hard to talk about specifics on a family programme, but Poor Things, the film that you've been specifically praised for by the leading actor Emma Stone, there is a lot of sex in it. What was the main challenge for you in making sure that those scenes worked to the director's vision and had credibility?
I think it was, as I've said in a different interview that I did, there was a lot of supporting artists that were coming in. There's a big sort of brothel sequence, and I felt it was important for those actors that were coming in to have just as much care as your main cast, and also for Emma and for just the what happens to the body when you do scenes like that for a long period of time. So I guess the challenge was just ensuring that I was helping with the director's vision, helping Yorgos achieve what he wanted to achieve, and ensuring that those day players that were coming in, that were just there to solely do a sex scene, they didn't really have any other scenes apart from maybe an introduction scene into the brothel, were cared for and looked after and knew what they were doing and knew what was being asked of them. And then you're working with a lot of different people. So again, my practice needed to change with each actor that I was working with, just to ensure that all of them felt a level of care that they should have.